Hey, what's up, y'all? Um, Hope everybody is doing okay. Please let me know how I sound for those that are out there. I picked up a new microphone and I am trying to test and see how this, if the sound is better, um, if it's more clear, does it have depth, too much bass, all that stuff. So just let me know. So tonight I am doing a just a bonus female torso. I really didn't feel like getting into the male torso just yet. And I don't have my other phone to set up the other camera, so we're just gonna get the drawing shot tonight. And I started kind of like I was talking about last week as far as the torso. I got the line of action, and then I probably won't have as many of those grids like I had last time. Just be a straight on just drawing session, really. And I have my reference pulled up over here, so just kind of sketching some stuff out. What's up, Brandon? So if I draw across, a quick line across that way, her waist should be just a little lower. So, how's everybody? How's everybody? Let me know how it sounds. Let me know how it sounds. So I'm just roughing some stuff out. And yes, please let me know again how I sound. I picked up a new mic, so I want to make sure you guys can hear if the music is too loud or if I'm not loud enough. I did a quick test yesterday. And everything seemed okay, but you know, every time you go live, something happens. So I think I'm pleased with kind of where I'm at with this. As far as the drawing, it's more of an upshot. So I know last time I mentioned the pecs should always be drawn, but since it's a kind of an upshot, you don't see too many of the pecs as you would if it was just a normal straight on shot. So there's some angling happening here. Cool. Appreciate you. But so I think I'm happy with what's going on right here. I started with a torso. Well, I actually started with the line of action, her spine, torso, her hips, and then I just started putting the body parts in. And like I was saying, I was looking straight from this reference point, and I had an imaginary line, so I knew the way she was tilted that this side of the hip should be down just a little bit more. So everything that I went over without the guidelines is what I'm doing now. Um, and I think I'm happy. So I sit back and take a minute just to look at the picture that I've drawn and then the reference to make sure it's matching and jiving pretty well, and I think it is so far. So now I can kind of go in a little bit with some harder lines. And then if you look close, you can see I sketched in some shadow area. Again, just as a reference so I know where I can start putting those shadows and stuff. And so I was looking at some YouTube stuff, and there's a playlist that you can use in the background for your stuff, and it is called, because it's pretty cool. Let's see. Stream Beats. It's the name of the playlist. It's all royalty-free music. Because I have been looking for some new music to play. During these streams. And they have a Imperial March that they're playing now. Vader song that somebody changed up a little bit, which is pretty cool. And so I'll zoom in a little bit here so you can kind of see what's happening. Here's for the shading. Again, I'm just doing little circles to really smooth it out some. Because with this particular one, I don't want to see a lot of cross hatching. So I hadn't been watching anything new. I think I did watch the first episode of that Squid Game. It's pretty intense. I think for me, mainly is just using shapes, right? Again, whether it's me shading something in or the actual figure, I use shapes for everything. So even like for the center here, when I've done in between her breasts, you can see like I drew a little shape here and here just so I can know where I need to shade at. And those shapes don't have to be perfect, right? Especially with the shading shapes, because you can kind of go outside the line a little bit, depending on how far the fade comes or the shade, the shadows. I remember when I was in school, we would have a lot of life drawing classes, and there was another class, I can't remember the name of it. Action analysis. And it was more of just trying to capture the shape of what you see before the time was up. And it was like a life drawing class, but it was more of more or less how the body was in motion more than anything. And we'd have like a live nude models up there, and I'm not gonna say it was intense, but it was definitely it made you get quicker, and where you had to really get a shape down before the time was up. I kind of missed that class, honestly. It was just good practice. I may do one of those in between these series, just And what would be cool is we could somehow interact. I need to figure that out. So like I bring somebody on and they actually do some drawings with me. I think that would be pretty cool. And I know there's a way. I just have to figure it out. A friend of mine, he uses this same setup that I'm using, Cinemaker. And I know he invites people to draw with him, talk with him, and all that stuff. So I need to figure that stuff out, because I think that'd be cool if we can get some folks to draw with me and have it all set up like that. That'd be dope. And then right here, you can see where I kind of drew the shape of the shadow. And then there's a hard sunlight that kind of hits right here. And then I'll hang out at the back of the pencil here and kind of just, let me zoom out a little bit and just sketch it back and forth. Just some quick lines for shading. I'll come the other way. And because there's a slight highlight right here, I went all the way around it first just to put this base so I know to be darker. And then when I come back with another angle, then I'll come over this. And now I'm going over everything, but I know that'll be lighter then. And you can see how it's starting to look lighter here versus around the rest of the rib section. And now I can kind of do my little circles to smooth that out a little bit. And I'm still holding the pencil kind of back. I'm allowing the weight of the pencil mostly to do the work instead of me actually putting pressure on a pencil. And that's kind of like the long process of drawing in general, right? Whether you're painting or drawing or whatever, it's the process of it is what I don't want to use the word time consuming or the phrase, but for a lack of words, we'll say time consuming, right? Because, you know, as I'm thinking, if you're doing an oil painting, if you've ever watched someone oil paint, it's just a long, tedious process. Here I'm just sketching, really, right? And it's still a process, quite a long process. Um, but it's layering. It's taking your time and putting those layers on one after the other after the other, so you can get those smooth blends. Um, so everything will be blended if that's what you're going for. If you're just going for some crosshatchy stuff, and not that that would, you know, uh, be any less work. Um, it's just a process, just the style you're going for. Because I want this to be a smooth looking piece versus, like I said, crosshatchy. I'll go in little circles, big circles, anything to get that cross-hatching look out of it. And then we have her abs starting to do something here. So I'll just kind of lightly put some lines in here. And then I'll come the other way, do some circles again. And then she's got an ab happening here. But the shadow is very light up in this area, and it gets dark down here. So I'm just kind of replicating, or trying my best to replicate that shadowed area down here. We got a little shadow happening here, because I'm thinking a light source is coming this way. She's got her belly button. And see, I just, oops, my bad. Let's zoom in some. There's, because a rear light is hitting from here. And I just do some little lines over here. I'll come back. Make it a little dark. That's great, Creative Cloud. Thanks for the loud update. guess I should pull out some so y'all could see what I'm doing down here. Well, I'm sorry I'm not in a talkative mood today. I'm just kind of drawn away here. So what's new with y'all? Is everybody doing okay out there? I sure hope so. Um, doing good. Just training your art muscle. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what it is. It's a muscle, right? You start training yourself, depending on whatever you want to do, right? If you want to do backgrounds, if you want to do anatomy, if you want to do creatures or whatever, it's you do that one thing and keep going until it becomes like breathing almost. So we can talk a little bit about And I think for the most part it's who you know, but we could talk about like how to get in a certain industry, right? Um, Whether it's, and this is not for like any entrepreneur type stuff. This is like if you want to get into a company like Marvel, Blizzard, um, but heck, right now Blizzard is kind of going through some stuff, but just those big companies. Because, like, and that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of that is who you know. The art industry, the art community is so small. And when I say art community, I mean the the people that are working in that profession, in that field. That field is so small. It's really hard to get in there. And I say that because, a lot of those guys, like, so I took animation, right? And what typically happens is, one, somehow you luck up and get in there. Whether, like I said, someone you know, or you're just extremely dope. But once you're in there, those guys typically stay in there for the long haul. And when they are, let's say an animation film takes you, I don't know, 3 to 4 years to finish. Come that 2.5 year mark, you start looking for other gigs, right? So, someone's at Pixar and they're looking to finish a film in those many years. At that 2.5 year mark, maybe 2 and some change, they start filling out there again for, Disney making a movie or DreamWorks. And because it's so small and close knit, those people will know the art directors and, all those people on starting a new film, and they'll just kind of piggyback off of that. Like, oh yeah, I worked with him at Pixar, good dude, good woman, they're on time, they work hard, blah, blah, blah. So that's one reason why it's really hard. Even if you're really dope, it's still hard to get in there because those people who, whether animators, background artists, or whatever, if they've been in that industry for a minute, they've hopefully created a good name for themselves, and they need to work too. So it's definitely, for me, who you know. Or again, you're just so dope and they're just like, yeah, another thing was, you always got to have some experience. That's one of the things they tell you to, I don't want to say get rid of you, but get rid of you where they don't have to really critique your work or anything. It's just like, yeah, you don't have the experience, come back when you do, type thing. So it's hard to break in the industry, but like who was that? Raku said, you have to make it become muscle memory, right? And then you just have to do it a lot. I remember when I first got my little gig at, it was a private studio, but we did, I worked on Deadpool when I first got out of school, and it was more, so I wasn't animating, I was doing more 3D modeling, because that's kind of what I gravitated more towards as I was leaving out of school. Like, I did not like animation at all. I felt it was boring, and I just didn't want to do that stuff over and over and over again for 3 years. So I gravitated more towards, it's a program called ZBrush, and that's how I landed my first industry gig. And then after that, we worked on Sleepy Hollow, the TV series, when it was out. Done the same stuff, 3D, the demons, and all that stuff like that. But I know how I got in there is all that stuff became second nature to me. Like, I drew a lot when I was not in school, but for whatever reason, school, I just really turned it up, where I would draw every day. Like, there would be some days I wouldn't sleep. I'd get up super early and just draw and draw and draw. I'm telling you, I don't know how to better explain that than you just have to draw a lot, or do whatever you're trying to get into a lot. You know, and sometimes you don't have to be in front of a pen and paper all the time. You know, a lot of it is studying, you know, going on YouTube or school or whatever, and just learning that thing. But it almost has to consume you. And I kind of think I have a natural talent for drawing. And I still had to draw a lot. Because, I mean, I'm not the only one out there that can draw, right? Really well. So, there's competition, you know. Like I said, for those people that have been in that industry for a while, that's my competition now. The pros that are out there working on those movies, you know. But with all that said, I still would encourage anyone, you know, if that's what you choose to do, get in the industry, start following some people that are already out there, you know, and don't do it in a sleazy type of I'm only here for me type of thing. And you know, at the end of the day, you are, but you know, be tactful about it. If there's any conventions that you can volunteer at, so that's where there's a convention in Georgia, the Gaming or Gamers Association, something like that. I'll have to look it up, but it's a gaming convention for game developers and artists and all that stuff. And that's where the people found me. And that's where I got picked up at. Because they typically, I know for when I was out there, they gave the people that volunteered like a day before the companies and stuff came out, so we can show our portfolios first. Because if you're a company, you've been looking at portfolios all day, you're just like, okay, here's another one. So it was cool that we got to be first. They were, their eyes were fresh, and we got to show them, our work on some fresh eyes versus those folks being tired and just looking after portfolio after portfolio. So, volunteer. Like I said, follow some people on Instagram or wherever, and if they're local, especially if they're in the same city you are, offer them to take them out to buy them coffee or something, and you can kind of be like, hey, here's some of my work, blah blah blah. Because for the most part, they're gonna know what you want, right? You want to break in, you want to end, you want to work, and they know that already. What I'm saying is, don't be sleazy about it. Talk to them, see kind of what their future plans are. Do they plan on staying with the company? Do they like the company? It's definitely who you know. And your work. And I say it's who you know first simply because, like I said earlier, there's a ton of people out there that can draw, that can animate, that could do backgrounds, that can do rigging, all that stuff, right? So now you have to just figure out a different angle and how to come in at that angle for you. What best fits you. I remember them telling us, because we would always have like Pixar come to the school, Disney, High Res Studios here in Atlanta, they would come, and their main gripe would be is that when they get new people, they wanted them to work out. They don't like working with, and I don't think anyone does really, just working with someone that is difficult to work with. And shoot, that can work to your advantage, honestly. Like I said, if you take an art director out for coffee or something, you're dope, your work's really good, they could be getting ready to let Johnny go because Johnny doesn't play well with others. And since you've been cool with the art director, y'all chilling, next thing you know, you getting a text or a phone call like, hey, can you come in for an interview or something? So, you always want to have those connections and make connections to get in the industry. I hope that helps someone. As far as you being a freelance person and you kind of just doing your own thing, you can still work in the industry. It's a little harder. because now it's just you. And you got to be like a contractor, and you got to have all type of forms and all that type of stuff. Hold on for a minute, folks. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Yeah, you can, do it on your own as well. But when you hear most people say, they're freelance or whatever, it's kind of just them doing it for themselves type of thing. And that's very rewarding. That's kind of what I do as far as being a tattoo artist. But it's a lot of work. And then if you're like, you always hear that term starving artist. I think for most artists like that, so you have a talent, right? And it's like, oh, I'm self-taught. This is kind of what I want to do for a living. I want to get paid off of it. How do you go about doing that? You have to be very specific on what you want to do, right? Like just drawing portraits and little pictures of people, whether it's family members or somebody like that, that's not going to pay the bills. And then you typically get the whole starving artist thing. People get discouraged, and it's like, that's not for me. What I think is that most people don't have a plan. And that's where it becomes more of a chore, honestly, to draw and try and make a living. You need a plan, right? I think I was saying this before. It's like a roadmap, And you have to be very specific on what you want to accomplish and what you want to do. Because if not, you'll just keep spinning wheels and keep hoping something will change. And so, my bad. When I say plan and be very specific about it, it's kind of, okay, well, what is it that you want to do, right? Do you want to do portraits? Do you want to airbrush at the amusement park? That's the first goal. Or the first thing is be very specific on what you want to do. And then just work backwards from that goal. How much money do you want to make? Do you just want this to be a side hustle? Or do you want to be full-time? And so once you figure it out, then you got other questions you got to ask, So it's a lot, to want to be a working artist. Me and my mentor, we don't say starving artist, right? It's working artist. And you become a working artist, you become someone that can make a living off of this because you have a plan now. you have a little bit of structure, and it's not going to happen overnight either. So don't think that will happen like that. You're good at art, cool. Now what? Do you want to be in galleries? It's just so much that you have to really sit back and think about before you just jump out there and be like, yeah, I want to be an artist and make a living out of it. What does that mean to you? Because before I was doing tattoos, I was working at Georgia State and Georgia Tech. I was an IT professional. I was not. I wanted to be a working artist, but I had to sit down and write some goals out, and you find a mentor and all that stuff. It's very valuable because if someone else is already doing it, one, there's no need to recreate the wheel, and two, someone else has already done it. You kind of just copy and paste. Oh yeah, you definitely can't be an island by yourself, man. It took me a while to learn that too. You'll be stressed out, all type of stuff. But you're absolutely correct. You need somewhat of a team, right? Like I was saying, with a mentor, and I actually have two mentors that are very successful artists. And I was very fortunate. My kids are all grown; they're all in the military, so I don't have to really. Sorry about that. Something beeped. But anyway, I don't have to really be concerned with small children anymore, right? And that's another thing. Now you got people with full ass families, and they can't right off the rip, go out there and just like, hey, I want to be an artist, and that's it, because your family comes first. Like I said, I was just at a stage in my life where I was able to do that. It's hard. It's not for the faint of heart, I tell you that. Because once you're established as a working artist and kind of known, now you have to keep at that level and figure out how to grow and keep business coming in, and so there's a ton to this, and that's you being self-employed, right? And that's some people, that's not what they want to do. They choose, they don't want to go through all of that. You got a company you're working for, you can kind of just go to work, get off work, go home. You still are an artist, you're still a successful artist, you're fulfilling your dreams. But now you just don't have the headache of entrepreneurship, if you will. The growing pains and the second guessing, why am I doing this type of stuff? Because that stuff is real. but it's also fulfilling, to some people. And for me, it's fulfilling. I like the challenge. I like figuring out how to get more clients and what can I do next on a Patreon and all that stuff. Like I said, some people that's not them. So, and that's cool too. But I do think that's my take on it. I love talking art business. I love talking to others about art and how to become successful with it. Because it's very doable, Again, once you get that plan in your head and then written down, now it's just time to execute, honestly. You gotta see it through, my boy. I think I'm gonna outline those in red just to change it up. But the scary thing about working for a company oh yeah. I mean, you're right. You are subject to that company and whatever they want to do, right? And you're right. The pandemic has brought some new perspectives on things. And working for yourself, we also have to navigate through pandemics and all that stuff. So it's I think that was the thing for me, company, you can be replaced like that, right? You can get sick. Anything can happen. And they'll just replace you and the company will keep moving without you. And yes, there's pitfalls to, working for yourself as well, but I think for me, it's just the satisfaction that I am in control, I guess, if that makes sense. If I don't hustle, I don't eat. That's just the way I look at it. It's very rare that I can leave this on autopilot. Kind of like, going to work and I'm going to work and I'm coming home. I can do that maybe once a week where I'm like, you know what, I'm not doing nothing, boom. But the other 6 days of the week, I'm answering emails. Brandon, I'm gonna answer your email, I promise. On Zoom conferences for consultations, it's a lot. at a company, you may not have to do all that, right? Because there's somebody else doing that stuff that the company pays to do that. But for me, I got to do that stuff all the time. But yeah, that's it, y'all. Here's my picture for tonight. Let's see. In some of I appreciate it. In some of your previous Blue Line artwork, you included cartoons. When it's definitely Ed and Eddie was a favorite. I mean, my middle name is Eddie, so I immediately gravitated towards those dudes. But yeah, most of the little cartoons that I drew next to them, those were my favorites. I know there'd be like some Scooby Doo's and Adam Ant. I'm trying to think the other ones that would be there. Some Smurfs would be in there. Yeah, those were my favorites, man. Huge cartoon fan. I love cartoons. That's kind of why I went for animation, but once I found out what you had to really do for animation, I was like, I'm good. Also, do you have investments like in the stock market, real estate? Thanks, man. And yes, so I've been, me and my fiance have been investing in, certain things as far as the market is concerned. Nothing like Nike or McDonald's or nothing. More smaller companies where you can get in kind of on the, I guess, ground level. And then, just some cannabis stuff and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely as a entrepreneur, you need multiple streams of income, right? And it just helps, right? So where if you're in the art field, whether in company or doing it yourself, those other streams of income help supplement, for when days are rainy. You always have those rainy days, rainy months, really. So, yes, we do invest. That's actually really good, man, that you mentioned that. so other artists will know that. But yeah, I think that's it, y'all. I appreciate y'all for hanging out as always, and I will see y'all next week, and then yeah, we'll start the male torso, and then hit 3 to 4 weeks with that, and then we'll go into I think I'm gonna do head next after this series is up. So y'all just hang with me, and we'll get there. We'll get there together. See y'all next week. Peace.